retirement. So stay tuned, St. Lucia. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be right back with more Hard Talk. Oops. Good afternoon and welcome once again to Hot Talk with me, Angie. You're listening to Fire 107.7 FM. And if you're listening on the Fire FM 107 link, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Those of you catching us on our Facebook platform, good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening on the radio, I see you. Good afternoon to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Of course, guys, if you want to join in on the discussion, then of course you can always jump if you're listening via the link and via the radio. Hop on our WhatsApp platform. Drop us a line. The number to send your messages and your calls 572-3473. Also, you can always, if you choose, to hop on our Facebook platform and send your comments there as well. They will be read. Those of you who will be taking this video in later, can't be here with us live and you choose to hop on our YouTube channel to check this video out. Good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Sir Neville Snack. At this point, I think Sir Neville is the most controversial, and that's saying a lot, guys, because in St. Lucia we are known for controversial politicians. Who could forget the epic battles between Sir John Compton and George Odlum, of course? Who could forget the Odlum brothers? Peter Josie, those revolutionaries from the 70s, the 60s and 70s who wanted to change St. Lucia, come what may. And these guys, they're shrinking. They're a dying breed, these elderly statesmen, those pioneers, those pillars of accountability, transparency, integrity, and standing by your word. These men who fought for country first and come what may. We're losing them one by one. Names like Henry Girardi, Morris Mason, Dame Eugenia Charles, although she was not a St. Lucian politician, but my God, was this woman a powerhouse in the political landscape. From Dominica, our sister island, of course. And right here in St. Lucia, we had the Henry Girardis, the George Charleses. Well, I don't know much about George Charles. I haven't read too much on him. There isn't much information to know the kind of person or the kind of politician that this man was. And to me, that just speaks volumes, but let's leave that for another show. But we had the powerhouses, didn't we? Sir John Compton, who could forget, the father of our nation? Henry Girardi, stalwart, pillar. George Odlum, firebrand. Every time I think of this gentleman, this is the word that comes to mind. Firebrand. His brother John, not so much a firebrand, but could hold his own. Felon John, the man with all the words, although he was not so active and in a spotlight back then, I don't think. But every one of these individuals left their mark. George Mallet, even Mikey Pilgrim and Romanus Lancico and Mr. Brathwaite. What was his name, Mr. Brathwaite? Can't remember his first name right now. But he represented Castries South when I was little. And so on and so forth. They're a dying breed now, this type of politician that had the love of his country in his heart. Harold and Rock. Names that you probably haven't heard or thought of in a while. And then one more soldier falls, and a nation mourns. And today, we mourn the passing of the iconic Sir Neville Snack. And why was Sir Neville Snack iconic? He saw the light. Someone told me that fateful day gentleman. Oh, how I miss this gentleman. There's a gentleman who used to call, who calls the show, and he is always very on point with the political history, and I really wish he could call the show today. But someone told me that that fateful day in 1982 when Neville Snack decided to cross that floor, his words to the Speaker of the House were, "I saw the light." Don't ask me what light he saw, but that light was so powerful that he crossed from the starlight into the flashlight, floodlight. What do you call it? I don't know. Somebody's asking if I'm coming down with a cold. No, I'm not. My voice sounds strange, really. Maybe it's something wrong with the mic. Maybe my mouth is not so close enough to the mic. Yeah, somebody says I'm sounding far. Let me just adjust my mic, guys. My microphone might be a little. Some have issues with audio, and I think it's because this thing around now. Okay. I hope the audio is better now. Those of you on for you listeners. So, as a tribute to Sir Neville Snack, I got some information on his life, but the information it's very sparse, guys. It's almost as if this gentleman was almost erased from memory. But I'm going to read it to you. Okay, I've gotten some information on his life, and I will read it to you. It says here, Sir Emmanuel Neville Snack was born November 24th, 1939, and was a St. Lucian politician who served as the Governor General of St. Lucia from 2018 to 2021. Previously, he served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 1987 to 1992. Snack was the brother of Prime Minister Winston Snack. I didn't know we had a Prime Minister Winston Snack, who was the head of government for 8 months from 1981 to 1982. Ah, okay. The dark period in St. Lucia's history. Snack joined the St. Lucia Labour Party in 1968 and was the mayor of Castries from 1981 to 1982, when he resigned to become the leader of the Labour Party and the leader of the opposition in 1982. Snack was the leader of the opposition in December 1982 during a constitutional dispute over the status of Governor General Boswell Williams. John Compton, the serving Prime Minister and a member of the governing United Workers' Party, had taken steps to have Williams unseated. In response, Snack wrote a letter to Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of St. Lucia, asking her to disregard Compton's actions. The dispute ended when Williams resigned on 13th December 1982. Snack was returned as a Labour Party member of the St. Lucian Parliament during the country's 2 successive elections in April 1987. The website of the St. Lucia Labour Party indicates that Snack was elected for the Labrie constituency in 2 elections, as well as representing the party at the municipal level in Castries. Snack changed his political affiliation on 2nd June 1987. Guys, this week would have been the anniversary. Yesterday, in fact. Oh my God. Isn't this iconic, guys? Fun fact. Sir Neville Snack died on the anniversary of the day he crossed the floor. I guess he crossed the threshold on that day. Isn't that amazing? Snack changed his political affiliation on 2nd June 1987, joining the United Workers' Party group in Parliament and becoming the country's foreign minister. When asked why he changed sides, Snack simply responded, broken promises. The change increased the United Workers' Party's legislative majority from 1 vote 9 to 8 to 3 votes 10 to 7. Snack spoke before the United Nations General Assembly in October 1987, saying that St. Lucia was considering a political union with other small Caribbean nations. He argued that quality of life issues could be improved if the region no longer had to support 7 governors general, 7 prime ministers, and 60 ministers for a total population for about 500,000. Snack also accused Guatemala of threatening the sovereignty of Belize. In August 1989, Snack and other Caribbean foreign ministers met with Haitian head of state, General Prosper Avril, on the subject of future elections in the country. Snack served as foreign minister until 1982. He was appointed as UWP senator in 1992. And in 1993 was appointed as President of the Senate. He was the President of the Senate of St. Lucia from October 1993 to June 1997. On 18th January 2018, Snack was appointed Knight Grand Cross of the Order of St. Michael and St. George in the 2018 Special Honors. Also in 2018, Snack was appointed Grand Cross of the Order of St. Lucia in his capacity as Chancellor of the Order. So there you have it, guys. A little more about the man who was once called Shadel Mall. That is just there isn't much about his personal life, but that quite sums up his professional life and his service to his country from 1968 to 2021. Decades of serving his country and placing his country before himself. Now, according to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, there will be consultations with the family and in recognition of his contribution to St. Lucia, Prime Minister Pierre has announced that Sir Neville will be accorded a state funeral in keeping with established protocol. He also says that the government joins the nation in extending sympathy to Sir Neville's family and all those affected by his passing. But we do know the truth, don't we? We do know that Sir Neville was famous for more than that. I mean, he was called a traitor by several members of the St. Lucia Labour Party simply because he decided not to stay on their side and there was a walkout, if you recall, when Sir Neville was named Governor General. Now, I don't have much. I wish, oh man, how I wish that there was social media in 1982 so that I can pull that speech that he gave on the day that he crossed the floor. But I don't have that. And so in honor of the man who was called Shadell Mall, but who was, in the immortal words of my grandfather, Four, I bring you the speech that he gave on the day he was installed as the Governor General, the day that current Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre and the members of his team at the time boycotted the St. Lucia Parliament in protest of Sir Neville's appointment as the Governor General of St. Lucia. Let's take a listen.
Installation ceremony.
Since brevity is regarded as a soul of wit, you will be very happy to know that though prone to long-windedness, for the sake of the soul of wit, I have, on this special occasion, allowed myself to be seduced by brevity, so as not to tire you and yet enjoy the balance of the day. Permit me, however, to first apologize for disappointing those who, based on the news circulating, had rather hoped I would make my appearance in a broad, brim, pink hat. Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister and Honourable Ministers, for the trust reposed in me to be the Governor General of our St. Lucia, that lady with a mystic smile. But St. Lucia is not just smiles, wealth, wonder, and friendliness. Smiles from the glistening, silent waters that surround us. Warmth generated by the health-giving sulfur springs. Wonder inspired by the divinity in the majestic pitons, shaped by an immortal hand, and a friendliness that is ubiquitous and unique. For when given an opportunity to show worthiness, nobleness, and love, this pearl in the Caribbean, perhaps Voltaire's El Dorado, has never been found wanting, living always according to her needs. Soon after Hurricane Maria savagely vented her full wrath on Dominica, St. Lucia's maternal concerns were promptly summoned. That sense of urgency in coming to her aid magnified the soul. It was adorable, palpable, and delicious, and for a long time will linger on my own palate. Those unable, however, to make even the humblest contribution share equally with those who could, for St. Lucia has always been just one big, kind heart, no matter what our problems. For all those reasons which inspire awe and wonder, I think St. Lucia still, an unpacked treasure, can become the Gibraltar of the Gulf of Mexico, as it was once thought. If the dreams brought to our doorsteps do not just lie there and die. During my inauguration as President of the Senate in 1993, I gave this assurance to the Senate, which some may still recall. I am not less the President of the opposition for being appointed by the government. This was meant to show that there was a certain sacrosanctity inherent in certain offices that demanded unwavering impartiality. That same sentiment I repeat here today and say, I am not less the Governor General of the opposition for being appointed by the government. For the Governor General is a symbol of unity, to bind us together as one. This for me is the stamp and hallmark of our true parliamentary democracy. And I pray that the Almighty God, self-subsisting God, will enlighten us all with knowledge of right. For St. Lucia never needed us. She needs us now. Each one doing his or her duty, just with malice towards none and charity for all, in a society where everyone is as important as anyone. Now, we have this word. When I joined the political fray in 1969, in my first spiritual speech on the market steps, I made this declaration of conscience in accordance with the highest Roman principles. There is one law for all, the law of justice. The good of the people is a supreme law, bonus populi suprema lex, and urged that to be a politician, you must first have a sympathy for human beings and a passion for justice. Those words were crowned by St. Paul's exhortation to the Ephesians, let no speech proceed from your mouth, but whatever is good for supplying what suits the current necessity, that it may give grace to the hearers. To this day, they remain firmly rooted in my womb, carved out of the mold that shaped my character. What I was in the beginning, still I am, and will forever be. My every word. Since my entry into politics in 1969, I have virtually seen heaven and earth pass away before my eyes. Yet wilted not. Filled and grace with experience gained, it is possible to see St. Lucia's fortune in a grain of sand and guard against dark clouds and pitfalls. Most important, we are forever to bear in mind that where power is given by the people for the benefit and happiness of the nation, there must be the strength to exercise it and stability when necessary. However, that strength is always to be exercised with a soft touch and a sure hand. A most salutary principle enunciated by one of the finest politicians of the United States of America, Adlai Stevenson, that soft touch and sure hand. That soft touch and sure hand.
Installation ceremony.
Since brevity is regarded as a soul of wit.
Sorry guys, I touched something there. I don't know why I did that, but let me try to fix this. So just my observations on this ceremony. You can see all of the empty chairs where the current administration should have been seated, but these men are missing in action in this video, and the empty chairs, they are glaring. You know, they're right there, empty. But let's continue with the speech.
And will forever be. I mean every word. Since my entry into politics in 1969, I have virtually seen heaven and earth pass away before my eyes. Yet wilted not. Filled and grace with experience gained, it is possible to see St. Lucia's fortune in a grain of sand and guard against dark clouds and pitfalls. Most important, we are forever to bear in mind that where power is given by the people for the benefit and happiness of the nation, there must be the strength to exercise it and stability where necessary. However, that strength is always to be exercised with a soft touch and a sure hand. A most salutary principle enunciated by one of the finest politicians of the United States of America, Adlai Stevenson, that soft touch and sure hand. that soft touch and shoulder. And I say finally, I see my primary office to be to aid in the return of peace to St. Lucia. If poverty is to be deracinated and eliminated, and prosperity ushered in, everyone must be his brother's keeper. Only so could there be a return of that sweet, gentle peace we once knew and enjoyed. Those conclusions to you. One word more. I am bound to thank my shy and self-effacing wife, Chilita, for all she's done for our children, for my family, friends and me, while went all around with me in the political arena for some 45 years. Véritablement, c'est l'essence de la langue distillée. Truly, this is the distilled essence of it. I salute you, Janita, my girl, my friend.
Delivered in 2018 at his installation ceremony, where he was declared governor.
Guys, this man had style, didn't he? This man waxed poetic and ended with a tribute to his girl. Isn't that romantic? People don't speak like that anymore. People don't. I mean, did you hear that the end of that speech? He said, and I quote, "If poverty is to be iracinated, then each and every one of us must be our brother's keeper." People don't think like that anymore. Instead, we have politicians who say, don't listen to anyone who tells you to put your country first, yourself first, and not your country. He says in that speech that he saw his role in the political arena as a servant to the people, and that where power is given by the people, it must be exercised, but with a soft touch. Not being discreet, and if they owe, they have to pay. And don't tell me you voted for me because I wasn't in the booth with you. A soft touch. Look at the difference, St. Lucia. Statesmanship versus what we have today that we call leaders and politicians. It's so sad. And he says a line in that speech as well, where he says, "Oh, St. Lucia, don't you remember?" He says, if we had to go back to where we were, we must all work together and everyone must be their brother's keeper. And he asks, "Oh, St. Lucia, don't you remember?" Meaning, don't you remember how fair Helen used to be? Don't you remember the love, the camaraderie, the care for one another? Don't you remember what it was like to be your brother's keeper, to stand together. Somebody's changing the narrative here. The person says, don't tell me you voted for me because I know I didn't win the election. We need more of the Sir Nevilles. But again, if he had been in the political arena for 45 years by 2019, if he had already been there for 45 years by 2018, could you imagine how long this man served his country? Like he said, it's possible to see St. Lucia's history in a grain of sand. He talked about unity. He talked about removing the chains, the shackles of hate and division. Did you guys really listen to that speech? Did you listen to the poetic way this man described his country? Did you listen to what he said? The words that he repeated from his very first speech on the market steps. To be a servant to the people. One should not enter politics, he said, if not to serve. I want you to examine the crop of politicians that we have sitting around that round table in the House of Parliament today. Which one of them, those in the cabinet, which one of them do you think entered that arena with service to country in mind? I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one. I could search the entire cabinet from top shelf to bottom shelf. I couldn't find one. But on the outside, on the opposition side, there's a statesman. It's tough, St. Lucia. It's tough when you look at what we left, what we gave up, and what we now have. It boggles the mind, it irks the soul, and it just confuses the intellect. How did we get here? When did we fall this far? This is the man that we called Shadell Mall? This is the caliber of person that we vilified? This is the type of individual that we boycott, but we stand ready to surround, to defend persons like Richard Frederick? Ernest Hilaire? Philip J. Pierre? What? As much as I would love to put Philip J. Pierre in the same category as a Richard Frederick and a Ernest Hilaire, I to be honest, guys. I don't really see Philip J. Pierre as the same ilk as these individuals. I see him as a person that loves power and would do anything to get it except. Well, at least I haven't seen evidence, and I can't judge without evidence that he is of that same ilk. I see him more as the enabler. That's what I see him as, the enabler. The man who turns a blind eye, the instigator who stays in the background and laughs when his cohorts cross the line without actually crossing the line himself. That's what I see him as. He won't stand against them, but he won't rein them in either. And he pretends, well, since I'm not the one doing it, then I am free from blame because I wasn't the one who did it. I didn't insult the vendors. I didn't disrespect the women. I didn't call the president of the SLMDE disrespectful names. I wasn't the one who brought the Range Rover. I didn't push anyone in Parliament. I mean, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. These guys are grown men and they can do what they want. I can't control them. That's what he does. But when they're committing those atrocities, he is in the background saying, Isale, Peachy, Peachy, and laughing. And when the consequences come, he says, well, I can't tell him what to do. But it's all fun and games, isn't it, until the country goes broke. Speaking of the country going broke, anyway, let's give our tribute to Sir Neville Snack, an iconic statesman who served his country, like he said, with a gentle touch. Maybe that's why he was called Shadel Mall. And who stood up for what he felt was right when he needed to. So, farewell to you, Sir Neville Snack, from the Hardtalk family, the management and staff of Fire 107.7 FM, the listeners, and everyone. And I think I saw a tribute from the United Workers' Party. Thank you for your decades of unwavering service to country. May your example be followed by all who come after you. And I say that with a grain of salt because I know that there are those who don't follow. And may those who vilified you for standing up for what you believe in themselves be inspired by your strength and your resolve, your strength of character and your resolve. Farewell, Sir Neville. Journey well. And when you get to the other side, and it is very, very instructive that you took your leave from this mortal realm on the anniversary of the day you took your leave from the SLP. I think that's 2 ways that you are turning your back on that party. Comfort Sir John. Dry his tears and give him hope as he looks down on the country that he spent his entire life building. Give him hope for the future, that his toil was not in vain. I think that's what Sir John needs. I think Sir John is looking down on St. Lucia with tears in his eyes. The same tears I saw when he was speaking about what inspired him to lead the country the way he did. The empathy, tears of empathy. So when you get up to the other side, Sir Neville, give your old friend a hug and tell him all is not lost, because there are still people on this earth that believe in his vision, that understood what he stood for, that understood why he worked so hard, and are fighting his fight, or continuing the fight. We'll pause for a quick commercial break, guys, and then we are going to jump into the issues of the day. We needed to give Sir Neville his due. But let's talk about something that he would have cringed at. The rising cost of living and the new statement by the National Council on Public Transportation that bus fares might be the next thing to go up. We'll be right back.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You licked your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You licked your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You licked your floors, even licked your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And rinse those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Color Scent Bleach. Licks went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So lick tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Looking for a new way to enjoy your St. Lucian vacation? Book a tailor-made tour with Seabreeze Adventures. Explore the island's untouched natural beauty as you visit hidden coves and beaches along the coastline with only one of our whole or half-day excursions. We offer a variety of adventure opportunities, including sport fishing, sunset cruises, island adventures, whale and dolphin watching, and water taxi service. To book, contact Captain Warren at telephone number 1758-713-3196. Seabreeze Adventures, not just a tour, but an adventure.
Fire FM 107.7 presents Full Disclosure. Hard-hitting political program bringing you the facts on political issues. Hosted by Foster Chico every Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. on Fire FM 107.7. Call us at 758-572-3473. It's Full Disclosure this Monday and every Monday 4 to 7 p.m. with Foster Chico.
You're back on Fire 107.7 FM with me, Angie, and this is Hard Talk. Guys, yesterday, that would be Monday, we heard from Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre that the cost of fuel had been raised to 16.75, and so the cost and so too the cost of diesel. And now we're hearing that this is not the only the only raise that we will see. We saw back in April that the cost of electricity had gone up. And when I say the cost of electricity, I am specifically referring to the fuel surcharge, which is a cost generated due to the price of fuel used by Lucelec to generate electricity. So that cost is passed on to the consumer. That surcharge surged from 7 cents a kilowatt to 25.5 cents, more than triple. And it has been reflected in ever increasing electricity bills for the people of St. Lucia. We also heard that the water and sewage company Wasco has announced that new rates are going to be introduced soon. There was no established timeline. All that was said was soon. Coming soon. New rates coming soon. Now, St. Lucia, we know, you and I both know, that this coming soon is not referring to, or these new rates are not going to be a reduction in the price of water. No. These new rates are going to be an increase. Call it whatever you will, but they are going to be an increase, a hike in the price of water, despite the fact, St. Lucia, that the self-same water and sewage company Wasco has been very deficient in its ability to provide homes in St. Lucia with pipe-borne water, a job that is wholly and solely their purview. Despite what the Prime Minister may say about harvesting rainwater, the job to provide the nation with pipe-borne water belongs to Wasco. That task they shoulder on their own. Now, St. Lucians are facing another threat. Due to this price hike, the cost of fuel at the pump. The National Council on Public Transportation is saying that minibus operators might need, if this continues, to increase bus fares so as to meet the ever increasing cost of operation. Now, according to Godfrey Ferdinand, and I have a story here, the NCOPT feels that it is very unfair for the government to up and increase the price of fuel without consulting the stakeholders involved. And by stakeholders, he means minibus operators and passengers. He feels that the government should not be able to simply change the price of fuel and leave the minibus operators or the public transportation sector holding the bag. That there should be some sort of preparation, some sort of consultation. That the ministries of transport and finance should prepare the consumers and the minibus drivers and associations for the coming hike in the price of fuel. And I have to agree. I have to agree with Mr. Ferdinand. Because the minibus operators, they are the ones who absorb the biggest chunk of the cost. They are the ones who are affected. They bear the full brunt of price increases when fuel goes up, when the price of fuel goes up. And right now, they are feeling it because the cost of importing vehicle parts has increased, and the minibus operators, they are the ones who need to change their parts and service their vehicles most often. The cost of insurance has increased 40%, maybe more by now. And they are the ones who have to pay it. They can't make a living. If they don't, the cost of tires is skyrocketing. And they are the ones feeling it. And now, an increase in the price of fuel, well, something has got to give. And I have a statement here by Mr. Ferdinand, that he made while speaking to several news houses. And let me read part of it for you. He says, when he heard the news, he said, here we go again. And he says the problem is bigger than just fuel prices and shows there is not enough planning between the government and the transport sector. He argued that instead of holding public debates and making requests each time fuel prices change, St. Lucia should create a formal formula linking bus fares to fuel costs. He says that hold on, there's something else he said. He said that in the past, government has given the transportation sector fuel rebates, but operators have not found much value in that approach. So, and he made a statement. He said that the minibus operators were given a rebate of 5 cents a day so that they don't raise fuel prices. And he said 5 cents a day can give you nothing in St. Lucia, not even a strong sweet. We have a business to operate. We have to run and maintain the vehicles. So we need something that is substantial to be able to do that. And he says he believes that Transport Board or the Ministry of Transport should have consulted the minibus drivers before announcing the price increase, because they are the ones being held responsible or being demonized by the public. They are the face of the transport industry, and people blame them, calling them greedy when prices go up. Guys, Mr. Ferdinand cannot be more correct. I myself have taken issue with certain minibus drivers because of price. Some of them what they charge on a short trip. But when you look at the real picture, what these men and women have to go through to make a living, because they are operating a business. It's a business, it's a service, but it's a business, and it has to be viable, and it has to be sustainable. How do you sustain this? And with everything, with bus drivers taking flack for everything from road accidents, a lot of people blame bus drivers for driving recklessly, although some of them argue that they are some of the safest persons on the road. I myself have blamed them for causing accidents, road accidents. But I think that bus drivers do get the short end of the stick, guys. And they are the ones most affected in these trying times. On the one hand, we can see why the bus drivers might feel that they need an increase, that they're being squeezed. But on the other hand, how can you expect the public to foot the bill? We are already paying more for electricity, for water. Well, not yet. The water is coming. We're already paying more for electricity. We're paying more taxes. We're paying more for food, goods on supermarket shelves. We're soon going to be paying more for water. You expect us to pay more for bus too? We're already paying more for bread, for Christ's sake. How much more can we take? And this is the time when we need to look to our leader for help. And the only thing we are hearing is, I don't know, it's not me. I didn't tell Trump to go and start the war. I didn't tell Putin to take over Ukraine. And I didn't tell Netanyahu to join Trump. So what you want me to do? And meanwhile, in our sister islands, prime ministers such as Mia Mottley and Godwin Friday are making decisive moves to cushion the blow for their people. What is your take, St. Lucia? What would you like to see? Do you believe that? Oh, one thing I forgot. When asked the question, not only did Prime Minister Philip G. Pierre have absolutely no response, no plan of action, and nothing to report, for some reason, although the question was about cushioning or subsidizing the cost of importing fuel for energy generation into the country, he proceeded to tell us that, and I quote, St. Lucia does not pay VAT on electricity, and that he had removed VAT on building materials. Now, I don't know how removing VAT on building materials can aid the St. Lucian public to weather the storm of increased prices or increased cost for electricity, I don't understand how this correlates even to the question the Prime Minister was originally asked. I am confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused on that one, guys. So I don't have an explanation for you, unfortunately. But that is what the Prime Minister said, and fortunately I can only bring you what he said. You guys refuse to allow me to bring you his words straight from the horse's mouth, so I have to repeat what he said. But the Prime Minister simply told us that we don't pay VAT on electricity, as if to say, you should be glad that this is all your bill is coming to. Now, I've heard people, last evening I was listening, well, not intentionally, but it was playing, and I overheard several individuals calling a talk show, a Creole talk show, on another station, lamenting how high their bills have climbed. And I distinctly remember one individual calling the talk show and saying that his electricity bill used to be in the region of $60-something. And it has climbed from $60-something all the way up to over $200. So how can we do it, St. Lucia? We're already paying more for gas. We're paying more for electricity. We're paying more for goods and services. We're paying more for food. Can St. Lucia survive or sustain paying more for water, a service that is not reliable and quite frankly does not deserve, in a lot of people's minds, any sort of increase? Can St. Lucians sustain a hike in the price of a bus fare? Now I'm going to jump over to the we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, and we'll be right back, where we are going to discuss this new development. Stay with me.
You already know the power of Lex products on your clothes and household. You lixed your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You lixed your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You lixed your floors, even lixed your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And Lix those stains off of colored clothes with Lix Color Scent Bleach. Lix went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Lix tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you Lix? Then choose Lix from G'day Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Looking for a new way to enjoy your St. Lucia vacation? Book a Sail a big tour with Seabreeze Adventures. Explore the island's untouched natural beauty as you visit hidden coves and beaches along the coastline with any one-of-our whole or half-day excursions. We offer a variety of adventure opportunities, including sport fishing, sunset cruises, island adventures, whale and dolphin watching, and water taxi service. To book, contact Captain Warren at telephone number 1758-713-3196. Seabreeze Adventures, not just a tour, but an adventure.
Fire FM 107.7 presents Full Disclosure. Hard-hitting political program bringing you the facts on political issues. Hosted by Foster Chico every Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. on Fire FM 107.7. Call us at 758-572-3473. It's Full Disclosure this Monday and every Monday 4 to 7 p.m. with Foster Chico.
You're back on Fire 107.7 FM. This is Hard Talk, and we are discussing a rise in the price of bus fares. Can St. Lucia deal with this? The phone lines are open, guys. 572-3473. And I await your input on this matter. In the meantime, I'm going to hop on to the Facebook platform and take in some of the comments that we have there. Of course, if you don't want to call in, you can always put your comment on the WhatsApp platform. Again, the same number, 572-3473. And tell me what you think, guys. Can we sustain a rise in the price of water? We have a call right away. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air. Hello, can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you, G. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing good, thanks to God. Good afternoon to everyone listening to you. Listen, I won't be long. What I want to say, the first thing, I want to say condolence. I'm saying it good?
Condolences, yeah.
Condolences to Mr. Snack's family on his passing. What I want to say about Neville Snack. He was a man of principle. He couldn't stay within the Labour Party. He did what he had to do. You never heard him come out anyway and criticize them. He said it vague why he left, as if he gave a little explanation why he left, but you never hear him saying this, like you see what I'm seeing now, the United Workers' Party leaving and they want to bombard the party. They stayed so long. He did what he had to do. He was a man of principle. You understand? So
yeah.
They didn't like what he did. Some saying that, I heard somebody said that King didn't cross the floor. But what I'm telling them, that King crossed the floor in his mind long before. He couldn't cross it because he didn't have an opportunity like Mr. Snack to cross it, but he crossed it. He crossed it long. So they did it two different ways, but it was the same crossing because he left. You understand? So I want to say condolences to his family. And what will I say more? He was a man of principle. He knew what he was about. not a man of war. That's what I want to say about. And I enjoyed listening to him. To when he had his speech, I enjoyed listening to him. That's what I have to say. And strength to his family. Stay strong.
What is
another thing?
You're right. Okay. Go ahead, Colin.
What did you say?
No, I was gonna ask you all about the bus fares, but go ahead.
The bus fares in Martinique, the people don't usually. We had a strike there for the bus fare, and when you see they say they will strike. Not even a minister that could prevent them from strike. We had a big strike in for the first not too long. All buses was in the place. People had problems to get. So now, since the government knows when the taxi strike, how it does be very hard for the people, so they try and come in quicker to give them what they want on behalf of the people. You understand? We don't usually have strike, and it does be very bad. When you see the taxis are strike, they block the road, and everything will have problems. So they give them what they want very quick because it doesn't be easy. It's not like St. Lucia, they speak. In Martinique, they act. When they put down the bus or they block the road, people cannot go to shops to go shopping, they cannot open their stores, so they have to give them what they want very quick. But we had one day, it lasted a month or two, because the taximen wasn't satisfied with what they were getting. So I don't even know if they start back taking people on the road. I don't even know. But they had a big strike there not too long. Not the whole country, but it's for the first, the capital. Right. The buses in the capital who had that strike. But I don't know much about them because I have not.
Do you think St. Lucian bus drivers will go on strike?
To me, the St. Lucian buses, they know when to go on strike. They choose I am talking on what I see. So if it was Alan Chancellor, they're on strike. They even though they don't go for a long strike, but they go for a strike so that to tell him, you want to give him, to tell him what they want to say. But with the Labour Party, they just talk. They talk and they talk. I don't know if afterwards they do that so that the Labours will call them undercover and give them what they want, or give them a little something. You understand? Because we are not hearing them afterwards. Right. They will come and talk like they did now, but it has no following. We're not hearing them. So I'm thinking that maybe they get what they want undercover. We don't know, because after they go along driving without complaining. You see? Yeah. Listen, you heard them now, follow and you will see what if you will hear them a little later. That's what I have to say. So I was telling you that the United Workers' Party said, as if we had a foresight of what would become. There wasn't any war, but we saw, Alan Chancellor and his government saw, with Labour Party, things will not be the same, because these people never a government for people. They talk, but they don't act. You understand? They just give little people, they give people a little something to close their mouth. That's what they're doing. So we told the people, United Workers' Party told the people what would happen. Things would have been much difficult with Labour Party. You understand? But they never listened. They did what they have to do. Labourers did what they have to do so that they could sit in power. And now they are in power. They are doing what they had in their mind to do. And they're even telling the people, thank you. You know why they're telling people thank you? Because people are not doing anything. They talk to their friends, but I read, but they're not going to the streets, they're not doing anything. Not in Martinique. When the people are not satisfied, they don't need any to tell them you cannot go on strike. It's useless tell them you cannot cannot go on strike, because as if you're telling them go on strike.
Yeah.
I don't think they need anybody to tell them don't go on strike or go. They're saying is we put in the government there. We know when we have to go on strike, when we are not happy with certain things. So we have to go when we see things not going right with the people. And the unions are not for government. Unions in Latnik are not for government. They say the government have enough. They pay. Their pay is fat enough. They are for the poor. They are not for government. That's good in Matnik. They are not for government. They look after the people. So when the people have a complaint, they go to the streets to tackle the government, to do what the people say. But it's not like that in St. Lucia. It's not like that in St. Lucia. The unions shouldn't be for government. They should be for the people, for the working class. Because the working class, who are bringing the riches, working to help the boss, then the boss will pay tax, and you know what's going on. It's a chain. They're not for government. But in St. Lucia, that's how I see it. Unions are for government, and not any government. Therefore, I'm not afraid to say they are not for United Workers' Party. They're always on the other side. I'm saying it because of what I am seeing. You understand?
Yeah.
What I'm seeing, they're speaking more. When United Workers' Party is in power, they speak loud. But when Labour is in power, look at things that's going on. What's going on there now? Look at the gas price. Nobody in higher position are not coming out to tell this government what you're doing is wrong. They're just there. I don't know if they're paying them to keep quiet, and that's wrong. That is very wrong. They should be for the people. That's what I have to say about that. Okay?
Thank you so much.
I'm listening to you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Guys, you may have seen me being all busy and checking stuff, but we seem to have an issue with our landline. It's not coming through on the console. I don't know what the problem is. I'm going to have to get a technician to deal with this. So from now on, guys, you can only get us until I can get this fixed. When we call the landline, it's going to the front office and not to the studio. This is weird. Anyway, let's continue. All right. Somebody says, don't tell me you voted for me because I know I didn't win the election. Another says, SLP hate unity and instead believe in division and hate. A vindictive party. When you look at the caliber of politicians we had back then and what we have now. I remembered, Angie, that's my conviction. In a foreign land, I thrive because of the island pride, ethics, and culture that we once had. Another says, he who holds the ladder is as guilty as the thief. Somebody here says, you can, because he's the one who's sending them and stays hiding. Another one says, SLP is a MAGA party, side by side with a MAGA cult. Another is saying, Angie, you didn't hear in one of the voice notes of the girls in the Ubaldas matter saying that PJP is making Joachim do all the dirty work. Actually, I did not hear that part. Maybe I should listen again. Somebody says he would say they are big men. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Angie.
How are you?
I'm doing great, Angie. And you know, Angie, the reason why I'm doing great is because when you are smart, and you know, just like us, because I believe, you know, when right thinking people are smart people, I'm not just saying for solution, because the reason why I'm saying that when you're smart and you're dealing with not so smart people that think they're smart, like the Solution Labour Party and the government we have there right now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what happened to Philip J.P. and Angie. I call it the great blender. And if you look at the word blender, you know what I mean by the great blender.
what a blunder is. Go ahead, Colin. Go
That
ahead.
administration is a great blunder. And as a strategist like myself, I look at the battlefield of war. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And we're on a battlefield right now. And the battlefield is what is going on in our mix right now, and the battle is in truth versus the untruth, good over evil. That is the battle we're facing, right?
Right.
And yeah, Philip J.P. got an economy after COVID-19 that was the first to open in the OECS and the Greater Caribbean.
Right.
Right? By doing that, it had propelled the economy to reach. It was outperforming all countries except for Guyana, because Guyana had the oil boom. You understand?
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
The economy was burning on all cylinders, hot.
Mm-hmm.
Things was happening. You know, and when that administration came into office, it didn't take long. By 2023, they had a massive slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
That slowdown was so epic that they themselves didn't even know what was hitting them. Because what happened, because when they won that election with so much hate and anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I still do not believe they won it either way. Right? With so much hate and anger. And they made the people believe that everything we were doing, the United Workers' Party, was illegal. Like,
Right.
for example, stopping the Grosley Highway, stopping the hospital at St. Louis, which is not open. But I'm hearing the neighbors now saying, some of the neighbors are calling, what's his name, Shelley Bailey, and asking him, is not in June the Prime Minister said that the people from the stadium will be going to the hospital? Shelley Bailey said, well, I don't know, caller, June have just started.
Really? That's his response?
That was his response. Go and look at this show maybe Monday.
Wow.
You understand?
Mm-hmm. But Cora, there's one more missing, you know. You know, there's in all of our discussions, there is something that we have totally forgotten.
Yes.
When will the Millennium Highway be opened officially and handed over to the people of St. Lucia? Y'all missed that one. You missed that one, didn't you, caller?
Yes.
When will the Millennium Highway be officially opened and handed over to the people of St. Lucia?
And you see, we're not even talking about that because I'm not the highway. There's no official opening because the highway is from the entire West Coast, sir.
No, but that's two different projects. That's two different projects.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was one project there.
No. There's the Millennium Highway project and the West Coast Road project. We missed this one. This one went under the table.
But that's what they want, Angie. You understand? So, Angie, I just wanted to go back to because I don't want to lose my chain of thought.
Right.
What I was saying, Angie. So the economy was burning on all cylinders, very, very hot.
Yep.
You understand? Like Kenya Anthony in 2016, something happened between 2023 and 2026. 2026, something happened. What happened? We saw it. All those projects that were stopped, and even Richard Frederick had to come out and eat his vomit for him to restart the Taliban project. It will take even much more money to start the Grosley Highway project. The airport hasn't been open. You understand? The expansion of Beaufort Port hasn't been open. You understand? And you know what happened, Angie?
Go ahead.
Because they're not too smart. They figured out if we put the health and security levy, we will get that loan from the Saudis. We will do what we're doing. We never remember that the loan from the Saudis was the
201, yeah.
Was the and the hospital.
And the hospital.
We never said, the stadium is not there yet. Okay, so all right, that happened. Then they artificially put the taxes at $16. Today is $75. And Jay, what happened between 2023 and 2026 was the economy collapsed. They tried to say slow down. It slowed down. I wouldn't say collapse, but it was a significant drop from what what we were operating at 12% at 12% or 4.5%, they dropped down to -1 whatever.
Yeah.
The man came out with a report saying that, all right, tourism, the highest figures in tourism, and then we find out it was a lie by Ernest in there, right?
Yes.
Then he said we have the lowest unemployment. What the guys did with the money of the gas prices and those, all what they did there was to artificially make solutions believe that the economy is buzzing. But what he wasn't anticipating that they would have a war with Iran. What he wasn't anticipating that they would have a war with Maduro. And Maduro wouldn't be there.
Yep.
What he wasn't anticipating that the Cubans would not be there.
That's right.
So, and top of that now, we have that situation with the CIP. What he wasn't anticipating that the Americans would have put visa restrictions for true.
That's right.
What he wasn't anticipating was
the British
will put visas for true. So where we are now, what we're going to do now, we have no choice but to realistically now increase it. You understand? So the guys artificially made people believe tourism was doing fine. Artificially believe. You understand? But the truth must come to light.
Yep.
You understand? It must come to light now. The solution to all that problem is it is a good sign of death. Let us see now. It is not the United Workers' Party that have to push anything now. Because we push. Let us see what the bus drivers will say. But I'm hearing now the bus drivers are saying that there will be an increase in bus fare. There may be an increase in bus fare.
They're saying that if this continues, they're looking at it to see how this increase will affect them for the next 3 weeks. And depending on how it goes, they will be asking for a hike in bus fares. That's what they're saying.
And the situation is so dire. I do not even believe we have room for any subsidies that could happen in the next coming years. That is why I tell our people, let us prepare ourselves with strategy. Let us prepare ourselves with not emotions. We have to remove emotions from politics. Because anytime we have emotions in politics or in war, you understand? Politics is war. Every day you wake up is war, Angie.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to read that book, Angie, The 33 Strategies of War. You understand? Or any of your listeners. The 33 Strategies of War. You can listen to it in an audio book or if you like to read, you can read it as well. And you understand on my point of view. You understand?
Yep. I'm a fan of the Art of War by Sun Tzu myself, so I understand fully what you're saying.
And if you have read The Prince by Machiavelli,
oh,
then you understand my view.
Yeah. I get the feeling that these guys cut their teeth on this kind of literature, especially the one by Machiavelli, because when you listen to Ernest Hillel, you hear a lot of Marxist principles. When you listen to Philip J. Pierre, there's a lot of Nazi communist vibes coming from these guys. I don't know, these guys are...
No, those guys are called socialists. Those guys, bedrock came from the Soviet Union and thing, but Machiavelli himself was from a different era and a different timing.
Yeah.
What I'm basically saying is that, Angie, we must prepare ourselves strategically. We must prepare ourselves away from the emotions. We must prepare ourselves spiritually when it comes to praying, and not just praying, because the Father said he loved those who love themselves.
That's right.
You understand? We cannot just continue praying and just sit down and look for results. We have to pray and match. We have to pray and talk. We have to pray and show the truth. Because those guys, they're trying their best to rewrite history and you.
Yes, they are.
For example, Andrew, we always hear about football. We never hear about genocide. We never hear about... I don't know that because I was a kind of believer back in the days. You understand? I never heard about those guys. I know about football. I know about John Lewis. I know about Dick. You understand?
But there's no literature. There's nothing on George Charles. It's almost as if he's been erased.
But that is their bedrock. That is their history. They want solutions to forget the solution of the party history, but they want them. Our history is great history, man. We built St. Lucia.
Yeah.
That's my history. I can talk about Sir John. That is my guy.
Yeah.
I'm a UWP. I'm a conservative. Talk about your history. Let me hear about your history. What? 40 years of representation in Marshall. That's your history?
I don't think anybody would remember George Charles if the school wasn't first named after him and then the airport.
Listen to me again, What happened to the George Charles Secondary School today?
Shut down. I think they're turning it into a institution for youth who have had issues with the law.
Angie, if that was somebody, like for example, not even as, was it Penny Anthony that put up Sir John in the Constitution Park?
Yes, it was.
All right.
Yes, it was. They're trying to usurp our history.
The history is very strange, The more things change, the more it remain the same, Angie.
Yeah.
If those guys are seriously recognized their first leader, their founding fathers, like we the UWP recognize our founding fathers, you understand? They would have done at all costs to protect that George Charles Secondary School or protect the building, because sometimes the building collapse to go to disrepair. Then what you basically telling me, that generation that don't know about the George Charles Secondary School, I've been closed about 10 years now,
Yeah, more than that, Kola. I think the school has been closed for a very long time. In fact, there was no fanfare. There was no. It's like it just closed at the end of the school year and just never reopened. There was no announcement. The kids were just shipped to the John Odlum Secondary School.
Now there's a clip before I leave, Angie. And it's the same clip where I believe you watch with what's his name? Sean Edwards, the Prime Minister. They said they went back down to the secondary school, the George Charles Secondary School, to revitalize the image of George Charles and whatnot. Angie, j'ai toujours. That is SLP for you. You understand where I'm coming from? Those guys are hell-bent on making St. Lucia forget their history, let's forget everything fast. CIP, wait.
But if you think about it, Kola, why would you want to praise the man or keep the man in the forefront of the people's minds who created the plywood city era? Why would you do that?
I didn't even know George Charles created the plywood city era.
Well, he was the one at the head of the party at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the minister after colonialism, I guess. That's what they said.
Yeah.
Well, you see how I'm talking, and I don't really know the history about that side of the thing. But actually, about Sir John, I'll tell you that Sir John built open the causeway and add backfill the causeway. That's where you get in the landings and all those different things there. The whole of Rodney Bay, I can tell you, Sir John and them did that. You understand? I can tell you the Sir John Dam, the John Compton Dam, is just John Compton that did that. That's my history. That's the country history. I can talk about that. That's what I'm trying to show you, Angie. So those guys was always been making blunders. The guys are a blunder government. You understand? They artificially made people believe the economy is doing well by artificially raising the gas prices when it was in good times.
Right.
Now we're in bad times. They have no choice but to raise it even further. So that's why I tell us, let us prepare strategically and remove the emotion from our new campaign that we're going to run there. Because very soon the election will call, Angie. And mark my words on that, but we just must be ready this time. We must be ready, and in all factions, in all holes, we must be ready, and we need a lot of money too, because money is the biggest game. So I'm calling on everybody that is listening to donate to the United Workers Party if you believe, because we are repaying the United Workers Party. We are calling on the diaspora, and if you have a friend in the diaspora, at least even if you can donate $20 a month. Angie, you can maybe there's channels within the party, Angie, that the people can sign up to. It is legit. You understand? And we need all hands on deck right now, because we're in the process of rebuilding a resilient party. So people in the diaspora, 20 US, 20 euro a month, That will make the party reach very far. I thank you, Angie. Have a blessed one.
Thank you so much for that, caller. Guys, this last caller made so many points that you just have to. Oh, we have another caller right away. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie, and good afternoon to your listeners. Good program.
Mm-hmm.
Angie, I just want to make a quick correction. When you and the gentleman, just the last caller, indicated that it was Kenny Anthony who set up that bus, that Sir John bus in Constitution Park. Did I hear correctly?
Wasn't he the one who put it up there? Because the bus was already there, but it wasn't in the park as yet.
No, it was not Kenny Anthony. That, and I know the intricacies and the details of that bus because I was on the board of the Castries Constituency Council at the time, so I was intimately involved in the project. That bus was done under a UWP administration, and I remember vividly there was a committee that was established, headed by Mr. Guy Mayers, and the person who did that bus of Sir John was a guy called Ricky George.
Okay.
So I know.
No, I'm not saying that he commissioned it. We're not saying that he commissioned it. What we're saying is that he was the Prime Minister who presided over it being placed.
No.
Wasn't he the Prime Minister?
It was a UWP government who put that bus up. I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because there was a handing over ceremony, and I was in attendance. I was on the board of the Castries Constituency Council, and it was a UWP administration. And if my memory serves me right, it was under Stevenson King led administration.
Okay.
Kenny Anthony had nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that correction.
Yeah. Right, and I like I said, I was on the board of the Castries Constituency Council, so I was intimately involved in the project, so I know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's a slight correction.
Thank you.
We don't want people to get the wrong information on this platform. We're all about edification and enlightening our listeners and viewers. Angie, you played a tribute to Sir Neville Snack, and what a tribute! And I want to applaud you for taking the initiative and Fire FM 107 for paying tribute to what I call a icon in our local body politic in Sir Neville Snack. The little conversations I had with the late Sir Neville Snack was very educational. You could not have had a conversation with Sir Neville and not come out learning something. This man was just a humble. He was just a human being. He was just a man who you have to get to know him to understand that individual. And the few conversations I was privy to, or I had the privilege to have had or engage with Sir Neville Snack. Those I would always cherish those memories. But when he was installed as Governor General in 2018, and you played the speech, and you indicated the opposition benches were empty. You're correct, because I remember that was in 2018 when he gave his maiden speech as Governor General. And I don't know if you remember that the opposition at the time, which was the St. Labour Party under Kenny Anthony. I remember Kenny Anthony was the leader of the opposition. You had Philip J. Pierre, who's now Prime Minister. You had Sean Edward, you had Alva Baptiste, and you had Moses Mosaja Baptiste. They all took a position on that day to boycott the parliament. And so this is why you saw all those empty seats on the opposition side. They boycotted parliament because they're saying they still toting feelings, like the Trinidadians will say. They still toting feelings, or they still have that gope well, as we'll say in our local Creole palace, that what transpired in 1987. They have not recovered, they have not forgiven Sir Neville Snack up till this day of when he decided to change political allegiance. And the stories that on a lighter side, the stories that I have heard and learned when Sir Neville Snack decided to cross that floor on that good day was very something. You just have to laugh at it. And I remember some icons in the local body politic was telling me, they were giving me the history on that day in the parliament. When Sir Neville Snack stood up and he said, and I quote, "Mr. Speaker, I have now seen the light and I have made a decision and I'm going across the floor." And everybody, the whole nation was like stunned because Angie and your listeners, they could not understand what was happening.
Right.
And so Neville Scott literally stood up. He was on the opposition benches at the time, and he literally stood up and went across to the governing side, which at the time was Sir John Compton, and that stunned the entire nation.
Right.
I think this was the little stories that I've been told. Remember, he was representing the constituency of Labrie for quite some time on the opposition benches.
Right.
And I think the people in Labrie, they were fuming. There was from what I'm told, they were fuming because they said they were saying at the time, and some people still do, staunch Labour Party supporters will still tell you that Sir Neville Snack was a traitor, he crossed the floor. But as the time went by, so Neville Snack gave his justification. He gave his reasons why he decided to change political allegiance, and subsequent to that, he got the appointment of Foreign Affairs Minister, and he served well. So on behalf of myself and Fire FM as a loyal listener and avid supporter of Fire FM, I would like to extend my sincere condolences to his wife. I know one of his daughters, Sybil Snack. She's a good friend of mine. I would like to extend my sincere condolences to them and to tell them to stay strong. But politicians of the likes of Sir Neville Snack, we're not going to get those politicians again. Those kinds of politicians like Sir Neville Snack, they came into politics to help people, not to serve themselves, not to enrich themselves, but to serve people. Politicians of the likes of deceased Romanus Lancico, humble man, hardworking. He came into the body politics, to serve people, to help his country.
Right.
Politicians of the likes of Louis George, Ferdinand Henry.
Right, I forgot all of these.
All of those icons, GMD Busky, Alan Busky, which are, by the way, the two of them are my grand-uncles. They serve well. They didn't come to politics to enrich themselves. They didn't come to politics to say, put yourself first, not the country. They put the country first. They serve this thing with distinction. And so we have to, I'm hoping that we can continue to pay tribute to politicians of the likes of Sir Neville Snack, because it's worth it. And I think one of these days, an idea, we should do some more research on those past politicians and designate a particular program, a special program, to pay tribute, to pay homage to those politicians, because they serve well, they serve their country well, and we'll never get politicians of the ilk.
Yeah.
The parliament that we see now is a big joke. I remember the years gone by when you had Sir John Compton, you had George Mallet, another one, Sir George Mallet, distinguished man, humble, he served this country well with distinction. When the parliament, in those days, the parliament was the parliament. People look forward to listening and watching the parliament. Now, the parliament sadly has become a fish market. You cannot learn nothing from the parliament. In the heydays of those older politicians, you could have learned something in the parliament.
Right.
And so both of the opposition at the time, even when Sir Julian Hunt was opposition leader, you could have learned something. Yes, there was the usual political banter. You get that. But there was camaraderie, it was just decent, Angie, the parliament before. The
Right.
parliament now, like I said, is a fish market. You cannot learn anything. It's just a make with there, and try to make with the people. That's what you get. That's what obtains now in the Parliament of St. Lucia right now. And so we should designate a special program for those older politicians who have left us and pay tribute to them. Do some research, get the old clips, so that the younger people now can understand and know their history. Because we have to know our history. And if we do not understand and know our history, we'll continue to repeat failure. God bless the Angie.
All right, thank you for that. I might have to hire you, caller, to fulfill that role. But yeah, we're getting some. Okay, a welcome correction here. Somebody says, "Hi Angie." As if it was an SLP administration who erected the bust in the boulevard, which is what I was trying to say. That it was to my recollection, it was a Kenny Anthony administration who erected the bust. The plan was there from Stevenson King, but I don't think he ever got the chance to follow through. Another person is saying Plywood City was Alan Louisi and not George Charles. So I stand corrected. I wasn't there at the time. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Hi, Angie. Good day.
Hi, good day. How are you?
I'm good. Good show so far.
Thank you for that.
I just heard Ian and G, but I want to make a correction there to what Ian was trying to confirm for you. Reference to the bust, Sir John's bust on the Constitution Park.
Yeah.
All what Ian said about Guy Mayers and the committee, that was true. And the sculpture, the man who actually did it, that was true. And the UWP. But the installation, the night when that was unveiled, it was then under Kenny Anthony.
That's what I'm saying.
As Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I worked that ceremony, and I can recall very clearly. I hope Ian is still listening. I can recall very clearly that night. I was a supervisor on duty. I was right there, standing on Library Street. I was feeling, I couldn't even explain how I was feeling, because I know that should have been erected by Stevenson King as Prime Minister, but that was when the slick venom was already going inside of Stevenson King. Because that, Ian rightly said it, that bust, that statue was there a long time. I think it was there probably about 4 years within at a particular warehouse.
Wow.
And then Stevenson King left office, and he refused. Many persons in the committee, on the committee, were reminding him that they have to install that and so on. And that is where I saw. That's where I saw what I predicted. How Stevenson King demise would come, you know. From that night, probably even events before that, but that night confirmed it.
Right.
That Stevenson King was against Sir John so bad. But there are other people who know that. Stevenson King and Sir John. Remember, Sybil's snack. Ian just mentioned a name. Stevenson King didn't run one election while Sir John was alive, you know, for UWP.
I remember. Didn't they have that huge blowout over the VG playing field when Stevenson King had gone to the media complaining that he had just resurfaced the field and Sir John had allowed the carnival celebrations to take place on that field, and he went to the media chastising Sir John about that?
From different occasions, but yeah, that one included.
Yeah.
But Stevenson King showed these colors a long time while Sir John was in office, you know. And I'm telling you, when Sir John, the worst mistake UWP made politically was to allow, they say it's a family, they say it's other people, influencers, to allow Stevenson King to be the Prime Minister, you know. That was the beginning of the breakdown of the UWP. Stevenson King was never a close ally of Sir John, you know, based on all what we now see and hear about Stevenson King. But that night in particular, Ian, if you're listening, I was there. When I saw the Compton family arrived there, and I was telling my friend, I said, you mean to tell me King allow King demitted office and that thing is there. Because my brother was on the council too, so I was aware that all those plans were afoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling my friend, you mean to tell me King did not install, King allowed Kenny Anthony to come, a man that hated Sir John. Those guys were hated Sir John. And let me tell you, the Labour Party got a lot of points.
Yeah,
when they made that ceremony, you know. From UWPs, a lot of UWPs swung when King did that, you know. King did not do that, in fact. So I worked there that night, and I can tell you, Ian, with 100% accuracy that Kenny Anthony and the Labour Party was in power that night, because I worked there, I was in uniform, and I worked that event.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it. I remember that very clearly, because I remember that was a huge discussion about Stephenson King, and people, UWP supporters were not happy that it was Kenny Anthony, that it took Kenny Anthony to come in and give Sir John the recognition that he deserved. I remember that quite correctly. But nobody's answering my second question. You know, everybody's talking about Sir Neville Snack. But you guys are forgetting we are in the midst of a cost of living crisis, and bus fares. Water is about to go up. Bus fares are about to go up. Can St. Lucia sustain these incidents? Can we survive?
Until we survive. Regardless what happened, we'll survive. Like a talk show, he criticizing me on his show this morning, and he said, even if gas prices go up $25 a gallon, they rather it than Chastney come back. And the man making reference to cost of living. So you can see. And let me tell you, Labour Party people are prepared to pay $100 a gallon of gas.
Just for them not. Just for
and
them
they will
not
keep them up shut. Yeah. Just for them not to be debating whether it's Labour Party that creating hardship, they will not see any hardship in that. And unfortunately, the majority voted the government. So the majority, that's the idea of the majority. Irrespective of what Flabo would say, Labour Party believe that even though gas prices go up $100 a gallon, that bad. Because we don't have gas. We don't produce gas in St. Lucia.
Which is a bunch of hogwash.
People are running. I will survive. I will survive, Manji.
Well, I
am certain that I will survive.
I just won't be buying gas. That's all. I'm kidding.
No, the cost of living, everything will go up because fuel will go up. But I am happy that people like, I've not heard Jamari yet, but I've heard the Chamber of Commerce man.
That's Brian Louisi.
He fell from the sky this morning. Yeah, I've heard Godfrey Ferdinand, he fell from the forest this morning. I heard two of them, but you know, secretly or quietly saying, well, they were not informed and so on. And boy, let me tell you, those guys. But finally, before I go on, Jay, I don't want to take much more of your time. Now that I am to be told that so Snack, Snack just passed it. He died on the same day.
The anniversary
of the
day he crossed the floor. Yes, he crossed the floor on June 2nd, and he died on June 2nd. So I guess that's him leaving the Labour Party twice. Because they're in office right now.
Angie, let me tell you, man couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's not man's work.
True.
Now I'm looking at that. That's how I'm looking at it in my eyes. Never go down in his grave
as one of the biggest enemies after Sojourn
of the Labour Party.
Mm-hmm. Because he felt personally, he took a personal decision to move away from SLP and join UWP at the most critical time, after 2 elections of a 9-8 margin.
Right.
He was hated so much that the guys were boycotting front speech and anything to do, except once when they went to Government House when food was prepared.
So you say they went there for the help? They went there for the help.
They went for food, yeah. They went for food, not for anything else, for food. Because when you have done like King there, with his lunch belly, you know you will not miss that. You will not miss that event. The guys went to Government House, and I was surprised when they went to Government House. A lot of snack spent there. The guys actually went there to drink.
Right.
But I'm telling you, that.
Hello? Are you still with us, Foster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
Never snack crossing. I will look at it different, the politics different as of today.
Mm-hmm.
There are the persons who have left UWP in a selection, and they have, although they ain't cross no floor, but they cross the colors.
Mm-hmm.
They cross the street, they cross the studios, they cross the highways, but they ain't cross the floor.
Right.
But they have demonstrated their displeasure in many ways. For money, for other things,
yeah.
They have moved.
Mm-hmm.
So let us look at crossing the floor as not the worst thing that can happen in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because probably it was, if we saw Neville Snack being a good crosser, we can say probably other people have good reasons to cross too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm looking at crossing of the floor, and crossing the highway, and crossing the studios,
and crossing the street
differently. Say again?
And crossing the street, because in some cases,
yeah, I'm crossing the street.
In some cases, people cross the street and they didn't cross the floor.
Yeah. So all the names of the former candidates who crossed the floor, people do take decisions like that sometimes for financial reasons, for personal reasons,
right.
And you really don't know what cooking in other people's pot.
That's true. That is very true.
Tomorrow when Frabo wins the election, you'll get the small crosses.
Right.
And you'll say, well, met cross the floor, met is Frabo shouldn't take met. Because people have to eat.
Yeah.
Alright?
Mm-hmm.
Me and you might be different, but let me tell you, politics have shown me in my short life that some people have to eat and they will do what they have to do, even though they have to sleep with the devil to get it.
Yeah.
So, good show. I'm listening to you until you leave. Very good contribution, but I mainly call just to confirm with your previous caller what Ian missed out on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Now, guys, speaking of what Foster was saying, a reference to the price of fuel, he just brought back a conversation that I had a very long time ago, even before I even decided to jump into the media arena. And that conversation, I remember standing in line at the First National Bank, and it was around the time that Dr. Kenny Anthony was introducing the value-added tax to St. Lucia. And there was a lot of conversation surrounding that event. I recall some people were saying, well, VAT has to come because, you know, there's VAT in Barbados and there's VAT in this place and there's VAT in the States. And And I recall standing in line at the bank and a lady who was clearly a supporter of the Labour Party. I made a comment about VAT being exorbitant and how are we to survive. And this lady said to me, well, all we will have to do is adjust ourselves because it needs to come and there's nothing we can do. And if you recall, I don't know how many of you remember that the value added tax, similar to this hike in fuel prices, the economic situation in St. Lucia was similar during the advent of the value added tax. You will recall that back then there was this economic crash. I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think it was the housing market that had crashed in the United States, and there was a huge economic downturn at the time in I call it was 2006 or 2005, thereabout, somewhere around that time. But there was a crash, and economies worldwide were not doing well. And this comment that Foster made about the guys being prepared to pay $100 a barrel, it just brought this back. It's amazing. It is amazing. Guys, we spoke earlier about the category we would put Philip J. Pierre in. But you know what? It just occurred to me. Philip J. Pierre has our number. Philip J. Pierre understands the St. Lucian psyche. He might not know about governing. He might not be readied to govern. But he is ready to play the people of St. Lucia, because in St. Lucia, once you are liked by the people, you can do no wrong. President Trump once said that he could walk up to a person in this park, famous park, I think Central Park in New York, and gun that person down and nothing would happen, because he is the President of the United States. But in St. Lucia, once the people like you, you can do no wrong. Older folks have a more brash way of making that statement, but this is broadcast radio, and I can't very well say the words that the older folks say. But many of you listening know what I mean. And that is why Philip J. Pierre is a successful politician, not because he is competent, not because he is the most competent, not because he is the most qualified, not because he is the most experienced or has the greatest track record, because in his constituency, he is the most likable. It just occurred to me, think about it, St. Lucia. Ain't that a kick in the throat? Before we end the show, let me turn to the Facebook platform. Let me give my people on here a voice. It says here, good afternoon to you, Angie, and everyone following. Angie, soft candles are very effective, and it is very soft after your bones hurt. Well, I think it's very effective in relieving the hurt in your bones. I think that many people would agree with you there. Somebody saying good afternoon to everyone. When he crossed the floor, that is when we received water in Baslaho. So he was a good man. Rest in peace. You have a place in heaven, and I think that is for Sir Neville Snack. Somebody says here, what measures are used to determine the increased percentage of the surcharge? I don't know. If a caller. Good afternoon to you, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. I'm always subject to correction, and I want to apologize to your listeners. I gave half the information I gave was correct, half was incorrect.
That's okay. That's okay. We're not perfect. But that's why this is Hard Talk, and that's why we have people who, like I say, the people on here, they know their stuff. So they're not going to let you get away with giving the wrong information.
Right. So this is the information. I was correct when I said a cabinet committee was set up. By Mr.
That was confirmed. That was confirmed.
And his deputy at the time who was deputizing was Mr. Hollis Bristol, because I made, upon hearing from Brother Foster Chico, who was correct, it was Kenny Anthony who erected the thing for Sir John. I made a call to Mr. Guy Mayers, and he did confirm it was Kenny Anthony.
Yeah.
And he actually told me that the location where the bus is right now, and I remember that for true, it was not the original location. The idea was to put that bus, you see, by the roundabout by the market, when you leave the vendor's arcade,
right?
That little roundabout area there.
Yeah,
that is where the bus was that is where the bus was supposed to be originally placed. But for some reason, because the idea was, Sir John was he had liked to go out and see. He was a seaman, and you have that waterfront area looking over. That was the original location to put that bus there. But then the government changed. That was Stevenson King in 2011, and the Kenny Anthony administration came in, and for some reason, the idea was to put it in Constitution Park. So I just wanted to make that correction. So the caller before me and Foster, they are correct, and you are correct that it was the Kenny Anthony administration who erected, but the work started, which I said originally, by a UWP administration. There was a committee that was set up. The guy who did the actual sculpture was a guy named Ricky George. I was correct on that one. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want people to think that I'm giving wrong information.
Thank you for that, caller. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, bye-bye. Well, Sir John was supposed to be overlooking the ocean, but I think he is better in Constitution Park, guys, don't you? I like I pass in the park very often, and it always warms my heart when I hear young children say to their parents or whoever they're with, who is this man? And then they get to learn that he is the father of the nation. But one lady made a mistake when her daughter asked, Mama, who is this man? And she said, John Compton. They call him the father of the nation, but I don't know why. This man has never done anything for St. Lucia. Guys, let me tell you, that day, I was walking on par with this lady, and I took a step back because when I heard the reaction of passers-by, when I heard the reaction of vendors in the boulevard, when I heard the reaction, I think she was very brave. She walked through that boulevard in a hail of verbal bullets and arrows and crossbows and, my goodness, heavy artillery. And she walked quickly but bravely. She didn't venture to answer any of the shots that were fired at her, but she made her way very quickly through the boulevard and on her way. I did not envy her. I actually held back and let her go because I didn't want people to think that I was walking with her that day. Might be cowardly of me, but self-preservation, guys. Self-preservation. You guys did not see. It was brutal. It was brutal. So somebody's asking what measures are used to determine the increased percentage of the surcharge. I do not know, but I can call my good friend at Lucelec and find out, and maybe I can come and elucidate my listeners on the next occasion. I will find out that information for you, listeners. Somebody says, imagine former years of this administration scraping the bottom of the barrel. Buju Banton said it. Like in the price, whilst our leaders eat the best steaks. Wow. Another individual here is saying the difference with Mr. King is Mr. Neville did not engage in deceptive activities by keeping back important infrastructure projects for the country to make the party lose the elections. That is an indictment, if I ever heard one. Somebody says, Angie, the Labour Party mantra in St. Lucia and in the OECS is to divide and rule. That is their main agenda. I wouldn't be surprised if they boycott the former Governor General's funeral. Somebody made that same statement to me when they heard of Sir Neville's demise. Another says, PJP will never allow the bus drivers to strike. Somebody says, correct the plywood city. That's a fact. My God, what a disgrace. Somebody says, so true, caller, and they had the CIP monies to help them. Another one says, yes, it was Kenny Anthony who put up the monument. Somebody says, some people need to correct you guys on some of the things. When Plywood City, it was under Alan Louisi, not George Charles. Well, we have been corrected, Sue. We have been corrected. We're not perfect. We don't know everything. And this is why I've always said on this platform, and I always say, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is a platform to learn. And so I welcome any correction because you can't remember everything. And during Plywood City, I was a twinkle in my father's eye. I had not made my entrance onto the known world as yet. So forgive me if I'm recounting events that I did not witness incorrectly. To chastise me on this is to chastise the persons who wrote about Jesus 10 years after, decades, millennia after he died, centuries after he died, saying that they're recalling things the wrong way. I wasn't there. Somebody says, here, Ian, you're very right, but what's going on now in our parliament, the person who is starting all the fiasco is the same individual that Kenny warned people about. Guys, please temper your words when you are sending these statements. Some of those words are sticking in my throat. Safe space, guys, safe space. Choose your words wisely. Somebody says, you are so right, Foster. Somebody says, yes, Foster, and that's exactly how it felt too. I was on the way to work that afternoon. I worked a 6 p.m. shift and stood next to the town hall. I got to work late that day because I stayed to witness the sculpture's unveiling. I was mad knowing that it was a Labour administration who got this done. I think a great many of St. Lucians were mad. Somebody says, Mr. Foster Chico, my favorite caller on Newspain and Hardtalk. Another says, well, second Haiti is on the rise. Somebody says, caller, you won't hear them again. Another says, what was Stephenson King's main reason for crossing the floor? Nothing but greed and self-enrichment. Again, he didn't exactly cross the floor. Technically, Stephenson King is an independent candidate, but technically you cannot be an independent candidate if you are on the side of the government or any political party. You cannot be an independent candidate if while one political party has their celebrations, you join them. That's not independent at all. That is, in my view, hypocrisy. Somebody says the guilt would have been in their faces if they had put Sir John Compton's sculpture at the waterfront roundabout. We have someone who sent us a voice note, and I'm going to play it here on the broadcast. Here we go.
Hey, Angie, I'm thinking maybe if they were to have put it up the mountain where he'll be actually seeing the city and the water, maybe that would have been a good idea as well. And that lady, I don't think she was brave. She had no choice but to take all what's coming at her. Because some people, it's like you're saving their life and they're still hitting you for it. And I think she was maybe that's the kind of person she was. But when she got the response she triggered, she had no choice but to just act like she never said anything. And again, the answer is she said nothing in response.
Well, she looked for it. She made her bed. She had no choice but to lie in it. Guys, it is 4:44, way past our time. And the individual who keeps saying, Angie, the check is in the mail, I just want to let you know that overtime check, when did you mail it? It hasn't arrived. Guys, thank you for joining me here on Hard Talk. Thank you for joining in on the conversation, whether or not you knew the facts. I hope that people see this platform as a learning tool. And I love it. I absolutely love it when misconceptions are corrected on this platform, because I don't know everything, although I would love to. And it always helps. And that's why I was saying there is a gentleman who always calls, and I hope he's listening. He always calls the show telling me so many tidbits of political history, and it's very informative and instructive. So if somebody says something on this platform that is incorrect, they're recalling things in the wrong way, don't judge, don't criticize, simply correct, because we are all here to learn. And I love this about this platform. Like I said, safe space to discuss intelligently the issues that affect us. Somebody's telling me, Angie, stop it, King crossed the floor. He said he's happy where he is. Well, you know what? We are happy for Mr. King. Helping me reflect on the life and work of an extraordinary gentleman. May his soul rest in peace. May his work never be forgotten. And may his family find the strength to move on, especially in the light of this cost of living crisis that is about to run a train wreck on the pockets of St. Lucians. Guys, be strong. I'm waiting for that overtime check. Somebody says it's coming. I have to add to it because of today. Let me tell you, I honestly believe it's Philip J. Pierre writing that check, because coming soon is his mantra. Guys, thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I think tomorrow is a holiday, so I will not be here. But, fortunately also, I cannot bring you insight the way I wanted to. But don't worry, I'll make up for it. And see you guys back here, same time, same place, Friday, for another edition of Hard Talk, where we will discuss intelligently and open to correction the issues that matter. Don't hide your knowledge. Share it with your fellow man. Don't let your neighbor, your co-worker, your friend go down the wrong road when you have the knowledge that can open their eyes. Have a wonderful day, St. Lucia. Wonderful evening. Stay safe. Those of you on island, enjoy your holiday tomorrow. I think it is Corpus Christi. I might be wrong, but I think it's Corpus Christi tomorrow. I'm an Anglican, so Catholics, enjoy your holiday. And everyone else, join the Catholic community in seeking intervention from the Lord, because we need it. We need it. Have a wonderful day. Meet me here on Friday for us to discuss more of the issues that matter. Bye-bye.
Firing some shot.